Well, Arsenal fans delighted again after the weekend's 6-0 thrashing of West Ham at London Stadium. An abject performance from David Moyes' men, and Mikel Arteta's side made light work of the Hammers, and Arsenal fans were out in force after the game, telling anyone and everyone that the Gunners were destined for their first major title since 2004. The Premier League was virtually theirs, and a few of them even suggesting that they're going to throw in the Champions League to boot. City's treble last season will not be repeated by the Gunners because they're already out of the League Cup and the FA Cup. I'm joined today by Sun Sports correspondent Rob Maul to have a chat about all things Arsenal. Rob, good to have you with us. Arsenal fans getting very excited after the weekend's game at West Ham. A comprehensive victory, of course, but if you look at the table, last season after 24 games, they were top of the table, 57 points, flying high, 18 wins in the bag. This time round, not the case. They're third. Liverpool and City are above them in the league. Arsenal have got 5 points less at this stage than they did have last season. They've scored less goals, they've won less games, they've drawn more and they've lost more. So is it that Arsenal are actually going to break the trophy hoodoo, do you think? Or is it just Groundhog Day and we're going to see them throw it away and City or perhaps Liverpool come in and swoop all the glory from under their feet?
They're in a title race, Will, but I don't think they'll beat Man City or Liverpool at this stage. I think those two are stronger, have a stronger strength and depth in their squad. And Arsenal fans will recall last April when they were in the title running, they almost could touch that Premier League trophy, and they ended up drawing with Liverpool. They ended up drawing with West Ham, ended up drawing with Southampton, dropping those points in that madness of April, and then, of course, lost at the Etihad 4-1, and that was the death knell for their title run as Pep Guardiola claimed that hat-trick of Premier League crowns. So, to be honest, it's a bit too early to say, but looking at the calendar, I think that Easter Sunday, Man City Arsenal, that could be pivotal in the race. And if Arsenal can be ahead, if Arsenal can win at the Etihad in that match, I would say they would have a really good chance. It's a bit early to say. They're certainly in the hunt. But as we saw last season, I wouldn't get your hopes up just yet.
No, quite. Well, you had Bukayo Saka coming out after the game saying that the win at West Ham was a real statement win, a real statement in the title race. And Mikel Arteta, and obviously the players and the manager, they've got to say these things, haven't they? They don't want to be seen to be playing down their chances. They want the world to know that they're in this battle and that they are a force to be reckoned with once again. Do you feel, lots of the talk last season was what a season that was from Arsenal, disappointing that it didn't come with the Premier League trophy, which all their fans wanted, of course, but there was very much a sense that, okay, that's a great platform to build off. We're going to go again in the summer in the transfer market. Spent big money, mainly Declan Rice, of course, £105 million British record transfer from West Ham, and he's hit the ground running, played every every Premier League game so far this season, added a couple of goals to his game as well, as we've seen. But around all of that, do you feel that Arsenal have actually stepped up and actually improved? They haven't really sorted out the goal scoring problem. Do you feel that after the promise of last season that it was going to be this platform, that that's actually happened, or are they just the same as they were?
I think they're a better side than last year. I mean, Kai Havertz perhaps hasn't added much to the party over the last year or two, but
65 million quid's worth.
Well, I mean, perhaps hasn't the returning goals, but there's no denying that Declan Rice, as we saw against the West Ham result, the mauling at the London Stadium, he's transformed them into a better side, hasn't he? As you say, he's played every minute of the Premier League this year. He's chipped in with more goals. He's almost arguably one of the forerunners for the Player of the Year already. If he can stay fit, if William Saliba can stay fit, he's also played every minute so far of Arsenal's season. If Arsenal can just stay clear of injuries to key personnel, they will be in the hunt. Obviously, they've got the Premier League, they've got the Champions League, they're out of the FA Cup. So I think they are a better side now with Declan Rice as that fulcrum, and how fantastic, of course, for England's Euros, if he can stay fit, how he has transformed in a better side after winning the Europa League last season, Conference League, last season with West Ham. So, look, let's see how they're going to cope. Mikel Arteta, it'll be 20 years since the Invincibles, 20 years since Arsenal lifted a title, league championship. This is going to be the hotly contested. And I tell you, if you're a Man United fan, If you're watching this, what are you going to want? Arsenal breaking their duck after 2 decades, Liverpool winning a 20th League Championship, or Man City going for 4 in a row. So pity for the Man United fans at the moment. Who on earth do they want to win this
lots
time?
of Ange Postecoglou fans on
Indeed.
the red side of Manchester all of a sudden. Yeah, I mean, from the Champions League point of view, just quickly, that's obviously Arsenal came close in that final against Barcelona so long ago, that seems now. And European success, it's sort of not really spoken about at Arsenal, is it? But they've got Porto in the last 16, a winnable tie. I think anyone with a football brain would suggest that Arsenal are favourites to get through that one. And then obviously with all these competitions, it's luck of the draw. Still some impressive teams left in. The general consensus appears to be that it's Man City or Real Madrid who are that is theirs to lose almost. Do you give Arsenal any chance at all in the European race?
No. I mean,
well, there we go.
No. I mean, they've got Porto. Porto are third in the Portuguese top flight. They result against Barcelona in that group. They finished second. You would assume they probably will have a good chance of getting through that.
Yeah.
Then, of course, it does depend on the draw. As you say, if we've got Man City, Real Madrid playing each other, that would eliminate one of the big heavyweights potentially in the last 8 if we get to that stage. So I would imagine Arsenal will progress, which of course is progress in itself, isn't it?
Yeah,
for them. But I don't think they'll be lifting the trophy at Wembley come sort of early June. However, that said, if you give an Arsenal fan the opportunity to win the title of the Champions League, I think they would take that in terms of the development for Mikel Arteta. And we have to praise what the Spaniard has done at the Emirates. There was those links, wasn't there, to Barcelona, which he shot down comprehensively.
Immediately, didn't he? Yeah.
Absolutely, given that sort of Xavi's on his way out potentially of, well, I say the new camp, they're not quite in there yet, but I would fancy Arsenal to do better domestically. As I say, depends how they do against Porto, depends on the draw, but I just don't think it's going to be their moment this season.
No, you could tell that they weren't really prioritising the domestic cups, weren't they, with the sides that they picked, and I think most Arsenal fans would be happy with that, particularly if it means they can make a bigger fist of the domestic and European competitions. Just to flip back to the Premier League quickly then, you've obviously covered from an on-pitch point of view and a playing style, and like I said, the stats will tell you, if you just looked at the stats in the league table, that they're having a worse season than they were last season. Some Arsenal fans you speak to suggest they're not as pretty on the eye as they were, which in fact they suggest might give them a bit of a better chance for success and for glory, because they're not as sort of fallible at the back perhaps. But do you think from a mentality point of view, spoke a lot about Declan Rice. He won the Conference League with West Ham, of course, but other than that, experience of winning trophies is fairly limited. Do you think from a mental point of view that their experiences last season will help and will give them a chance, or do you think compare that to the Manchester City and the winning machine, both from a mental and playing perspective that Pep Guardiola's developed, that they're still a way off?
I think that's a fair comment. Yeah, I think the juggernaut that is Man City, that will start kicking into gear both domestically and of course
as it does
in the second half of the season. Obviously, they had that brief trip, didn't they, to the Club World Cup, which punctuated the season. If Arsenal can get past Tottenham away in April, if they can, Man United's the penultimate match, so they've got Man City, they've got matches at home to Villa. If they can win those key moments, those key matches of the season against their nearest rivals, they'll still be in the hunt. So what are we now? If we can get into March, past Easter, into April, and Arsenal was still in the hunt, I think those memories of dropping those points last April will certainly come into play, and hopefully they can use that from an Arsenal perspective, use that as a positive to say we need to galvanise and sort of grind out those results. And to be honest, we talk about pretty football. Does it matter if you're winning points? Does it matter if you're still in the hunt? Probably not, actually, for an Arsenal fan. It's been such a gap, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember back in the early 2000s, late 90s, when Arsenal and Man United were the dominant forces in English football. They've fallen away since then, but with Arteta at the side, he's been there quite a number of years now as well. So it's about time they start really continuing that and actually hopefully get into May and still have a possibility of lifting that championship.
Yeah, I don't think you'd find any Arsenal fan on the planet, would you, who would tell you that, we want to make sure the football's nice and pretty. No. They still play great football, of course, but if there needs to be a bit of needle to get over a couple of those key games 1-0 in ugly George Graham fashion, then I'm sure they wouldn't mind. And of course, it's sort of easy to just say, Arsenal need to catch up with Manchester City. That is an enormous feat. as we've seen from City's recent successes. But one man who gives Arsenal a bit of a better chance of finally lifting a major trophy for the first time in 2 years. Major, of course, the Premier League and the Champions League. We'll forget about the FA Cups for now. Is CJ Needham, aka the Deluded Gooner, a huge YouTube star and big Arsenal fan who I spoke to today. CJ, at this stage last season, after 24 games, Arsenal had more points than they've got at the same stage of this campaign. They'd scored more goals, they'd drawn less games and they'd lost less games. And despite that, after the enormous victory, the thumping of West Ham 6-0 at London Stadium, and lots of Arsenal fans were coming out singing from the rooftops saying the Gooners are going to win their first Premier League title in 20 years after that statement win. That is exactly how Bukayo Saka, he described it, as a statement win. Lots of positive noises coming out of Arsenal this season. However, those stats would suggest that you're actually having a worst season this time round, which is leading lots of people to suggest we're actually just going to see a Groundhog Day of what we saw last season, when Arsenal were accused of bottling it and throwing it away when you had that comprehensive lead and eventually lost out on the title to Manchester City. What do you make of all of those claims, and do you actually think that Arsenal have got what it takes to win the title this season, or are you just at the same level you were last time round?
I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to win the title. I think Liverpool and City are, just better than us. And I think City are the big bad bullies of the Premier League, and everybody's waiting for them to go on a run. And you look at their form, they're doing amazing. Liverpool still only have 2 losses. But with us being out of the league in the FA Cup, with us not knowing what the Champions League's going to have, all we've got to do is go for the Prem and obviously the Champions League. So literally, we just have to give it as good as we get. Probably not any margin for error to drop too many points. But if we run it close and certain variables fall into place for us, we're laughing. I have enjoyed the form, that we've turned around since the start of the year.
If you're Mikel Arteta and Edu and you don't win a trophy this season, what do they need to do? What hard, tangible actions do they need to take, be that signings or whatever, to get your club into a position where you can win a league or you can win the Champions League?
I would say the first thing is signing a striker, a marquee number 9, whoever that is, that has that pedigree of getting 20 plus goals in the Premier League, regardless of what happens. Clearly, I know Martinelli and Saka are kind of back to their best, but going back to our bit of a wobbled form, if we could get another wide man that can help ease the burden and get us closer to being a team that Arteta said needs to score 100 goals, so we're not necessarily living or dying by their form. I think we need a central midfielder or two. As much as I like Declan Rice and he's quite durable, I think he needs a partner to really see this new look Declan Rice that Arteta wants. And I do think you need another number 6 to be able to rest Declan Rice's legs. I think we need to add for depth. I do think we're kind of relatively covered in defence, but if we could get someone that could deputise for Benjamin White, an amicable centre-back where Saliba's concerned. Obviously, Aaron Ramsdale's future is going to be quiet now, but it's going to be subject to speculation. So you're going to need to sign a backup goalie, and anything else Mikel Arteta demands. I think we'd need to, reach decisions on outgoings. Again, I don't know what the futures are going to be saying for Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, Smith Rowe, Ramsdale, Jorginho, Thomas Partey. The list kind of goes on. So finalising if they're staying or not. And I would say find some players that are very durable. It's easier said than done. But where you look at, ironically, the West Ham result, the starting 11 was anything but Arsenal's strongest team. In fact, our 3 best performances in terms of results, beating Liverpool and City and obviously beating West Ham 6-0, they haven't been done with our key players or our strongest players in its all entirety. So I would say get durable players. You look at key players for us. Gabriel Jesus, since he's come to Arsenal, is picking up a lot of knocks. Zinchenko always misses 1 or 2 weeks. And so I think, you've not even supporting my football club, where you mentioned Thomas Partey, the word injuries comes to mind. So there's him. I'm a big fan of Tomiyasu, but his fitness is something that isn't necessarily provides anyone with confidence. So getting players that play to these guys' standard or ability, but have what Declan Rice has in that they have durability. And in terms of outgoings as well, we'd really have to show something. Again, I want to see us get decent money for our players,
So the Champions League as well, you've got Porto in the last 16. Most, I think, football fans of an Arsenal persuasion or otherwise would say that is a winnable tie for you. It's been an awfully long time now since that final against Barcelona. And I think in every, you've got a significant record when you were in the Champions League. Now you're back, of going out at this stage. What's your general sense of feeling around the Champions League and potential success there?
I mean, who doesn't dream of winning the Champions League? Who doesn't wish of going one better than what you said in 2006? I think where Porto's concerned, it's definitely one of the more favourable teams we would have loved to have drawn, but you can't underestimate anyone. I think when you look at Arsenal, we don't have a strong European pedigree, unfortunately, and of recent years, tying into the Europa League, which ironically, we played a Portuguese team in Sporting Lisbon and we failed across 2 legs. So I'm definitely not underestimating Porto, really and truly. It seems like in the knockout stages of competitions is where we struggle. But as Edu said, let's just enjoy the competition. We've got nothing to lose. If everybody expects us to go out, if nobody rates us, let's go out there and handle the business, man. As I just said, I'm more pessimistic on us winning the Premier League. So where does that factor in the champs? I think we haven't got a snowball's chance. But at the end of the day, if you win the 2-legged tie, anything can happen. So yeah, let's just hope God's with us, really and truly. But Porto is a team we should be beating with the greatest of respect, but not one we should be underestimating.
Great to hear from CJ, and I guess that only time will tell whether Arsenal can finally end that 2-decade wait for an English league title or the one for a European crown, which has been even longer.